You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 86.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. How are things going for you this week, Marchelle? We are coming up on Halloween.
Yeah, and we're also in the middle of the fall leaves falling on our backyard, So we've been doing a lot of raking in the last few days.
Ooh.
So
you know what I did? I went up to Mount Rainier and all the fall colors are up there right now. It was amazing.
Oh, beautiful.
It was so stunning. Yeah.
Nice.
So, well, now it's officially the Wednesday before Halloween when this podcast drops. And there might be some Halloween parties to attend this weekend, right? And it might be a good time to start thinking about Halloween strategies, like what are we going to do about Halloween treats? So let's think about that. The first thing that I want to say is don't ever, ever, ever buy any candy ahead of time. Now, you were just telling me before we got on that your son actually already went and bought some stuff. Is that true?
Did. He got sucked in.
He got sucked in. What do you mean?
Well, because he thought that he was getting a really good deal because it was a really super big bag and it's supposed to be cheaper to buy. The more you buy, you guys know that, how that goes. It's like the Costco way of thinking, like if you buy it, in bulk or in, a bigger size that you get a better deal.
Yeah.
So now he's stuck with, 180 pieces of candy. And so poor guy. But I'm so glad we're talking about this because we always come up on this subject during this time of the year because a lot of times like our patients, when they're pretty new in the clinic and we come upon these, this trifecta of like holidays that are, centered around sweets.
Yeah.
You have the Halloween and you have, the Christmas and, and the New Year's and, booze and sweets.
Yeah.
So, so we always talk about this and I love when we talk about this because you have the best ideas.
Yes, I try to. Well, the first idea I have is that if it's not too late, because I noticed that they started putting Halloween candy out pretty much after the 4th of July. Like certainly with the back to school stuff, they start putting out Halloween candy. Now, who is going to purchase Halloween candy in August and then save it until October 31st? I mean, do you know anybody who would do that?
No, heck no.
Right.
I would have eaten that bag, within 3 days of buying it.
Exactly. So the food marketers know this stuff. So they have these great big bags. They're like, okay, it's time to get ready for Halloween. Buy your candy. They know full well that candy is going to get opened now and you're going to end up having to buy more. And they just get you going on the sugar early as possible so that you have to keep buying more. Now, don't you think that's devious?
Yes, it's the worst. And
I think it's terrible.
Super bad for all of us. Yes, it is awful.
It's awful. So my rule of thumb always, and if it's too late for you, the listener, it's too late. But next year, don't buy any candy until the day before Halloween, or maybe even the day of Halloween. Because trust me, it's still going to be on sale then too, right? And then you don't have to worry about it. Now, this is only if you're actually going to pass out Halloween candy, because I do have an alternative. Okay. So used to be, I would buy candy for all the cute little kids that were showing up. And I just love Halloween. I just love seeing those cute little kids in their costumes. I live out in the country now, so I don't get to have that pleasure anymore. But I wouldn't give out candy anymore. Now, what did your son say about candy?
Oh my gosh. So we were talking, when he bought that bag of candy, it just gave us an opportunity to kind of talk about, what our plan was. And you and I had kind of thrown this back and forth, in the past. So I told him, that there's alternatives to giving out candy. And he said, do you want our house to be the house that gets egged on the block?
Exactly.
So I understand.
That's what everybody worries about, like,
yeah,
oh my
like
gosh.
we don't want to, we don't want to be that house, that gives away the pennies or like the toothbrushes or whatever. But we also want a healthy alternative that's still going to be fun and cool. We want to level up, not level down. We want to make it even better than candy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, one year, my neighbor, and this is when I didn't even have my second daughter wasn't born yet. So my oldest daughter was maybe 1 or 2, and we were living in Akron, Ohio at the time. And my neighbor was passing out dollar bills. And this was back in the 80s.
Dollar bills, that is super cool.
I mean, that's the equivalent of like $2 or $3 now, right?
Right? That's awesome.
The kids loved it. Although the kids didn't really quite get it. But, it was the parents
when
loved
they can
it.
take
They're
their
like,
dollar and go spend it on candy. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully not. Hopefully they put it in the bank.
Well, so what would you do instead? What can you do instead of passing out candy? What I want you to understand is that sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. So you wouldn't pass little bags of cocaine out to people, to little kids, right? So
no, you'd go to jail for that.
We don't want to be passing out a drug that's 8 times more powerful than cocaine. So I want you to be thinking like this. The other problem, of course, with candy is that it's so hard on the pancreas. We've been talking about the pancreas lately, and the pancreas is what has to produce all the insulin that's going to be needed to metabolize all the sugar in the candy. So pancreas has beta cells, and the beta cells are producing insulin. And of course, these kids' beta cells are going to be working overtime trying to produce enough insulin. And that insulin is going to create visceral fat. So even if a child is young enough that they don't actually show the weight gain, they are going to produce visceral fat, and we don't want that. So that's 2 really good reasons not to hand out candy on Halloween. Another good reason is that some kids have food allergies. So nut allergies or, gluten intolerances or lactose intolerances or whatever. So there's a nonprofit called FARE, F-A-R-E. It stands for the Food Allergy Research and Education. And it's a nonprofit organization. And they've established what they call the Teal Pumpkin Project. So if you go to their website, you can go download and print up a teal pumpkin to put on your door or window to let trick-or-treaters know that you're going to be offering non-food treats. Okay, so FARE isn't worried so much about the fact that children are getting addicted to sugar, and they're not really worried too much about the pancreas, but they are worried about food allergies. And so their goal is to help kids with food allergies still have fun on Halloween. And I think it's a great idea for also preventing obesity and sugar addiction. Okay, so you don't want to get egged. You don't want to be giving kids candy, but there are plenty of other things you can do. So FARE has a list of ideas for things that you can give kids. For example, glow sticks or glow bracelets or necklaces or pencils or pens or crayons or markers or bubbles. Bubbles are awesome.
They are awesome.
Halloween erasers, pencil toppers, mini slinkies, whistles, bouncy balls, finger puppets, spider rings, vampire fangs, little notepads, little playing cards, little puzzles, bookmarks, stickers, stencils, all kinds of things. So I went to the dollar store last night and I discovered even more fun stuff like packages of Matchbox cars. So you open it up, there's 3 Matchbox cars for $1, right? You can spend $20 at the dollar store and make a beautiful bowl of non-food treats for kids. I found some pencil sharpeners that had positive messages on them like superstar and great job. And I love those kinds of things that will really help kids feel good about themselves and will last longer than just for Halloween. So all kinds of fun things like that. And if you go to the website and you look at the podcast cover art for this podcast, I actually took a picture because I made up a beautiful bowl with all of these treats in them, non-food treats, right? Did you show your son my bowl of treats?
Oh my gosh, I haven't shown him that yet because I was in the car when you sent it to me. I am definitely going to show him it because it is amazing. You guys have to see it. It looks so cool. Even way better looking than a bowl full of Tootsie Rolls.
For sure.
It's so fun. And I know like even as a kid, when we would get, so one thing I used to like to get is, tattoos, I used to love getting those like in Cracker Jack boxes and stuff, I would get the tattoos. So that's what I'm going to go get. I'm going to get little tattoos so I can give them out to the kids. I think that's great.
That's awesome. So now I will say that I think it's a great solution. But one of my friends said, I really don't want to give out a bunch of junk that's been made in China and that's just going to end up in a landfill. And I thought to myself, I get that. I understand that. But we also don't want kids getting diabetes either. So I would say try to find things that are not going to end up in landfills without being thoroughly used first, right? So like erasers are going to be used. Tattoos are going to be used. Bubbles are going to be used. Matchbox cars are going to be used. So try to find things that will be used before they end up in a landfill.
Great idea.
Yeah. All right. So here's something else to consider. Many people will have Halloween pumpkin carving tradition, which is awesome. I think it's really fun. It's very healthy. But some people will have Halloween cookie baking traditions. Not such a great idea, right? So what if you were to replace the cookie baking tradition with some other craft, like painting rocks or making Halloween bows or making jewelry, something like that? There's lots and lots of ideas. What we're wanting when we're making Halloween cookies is connection with our kids, a time to play and do fun things together. It's possible to actually do all of this without risking our health and without risking getting our children addicted to sugar. Really, it is. Can you imagine that?
I think I was just thinking about how cool it would be I was actually just thinking about my own family and doing, getting together. And we did this last year. See, this is what sparked what we did last year was having this conversation. Now it just came back to me. We got together and did a pumpkin carving contest with our whole family. Instead of doing the cookies, because we used to do the cookies. My mom traditionally makes popcorn balls. Oh, and that was always a tradition. And, we didn't want to lose that connection because we would always spend that time together. So last year, and we have the best family picture that came out of it because we all are holding, it's so cool. We lit them all and we were all holding them. And so, it was just a great photo op for our family. And we just had a really, really good time. And we didn't eat a bunch of sugar.
You're going to have to show me that picture because I don't think I ever got to see that.
Oh my gosh. I just saw it a couple of days ago. I will send it to you. It's great.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Another thing I noticed I scroll on Facebook and I noticed that some of my relatives and friends with younger kids or grandkids are heading off to the pumpkin patch and corn mazes, and they're having a great time, and haunted houses are always a ton of fun. So I think it's great that at this time of year, we can actually do all of these things that bring about connection with our family. And now so much of this stuff that we used to not be able to do, we can do, like the haunted houses and stuff, because we don't have to worry about COVID, right? Like nobody's going to end up in the hospital dying of COVID. So that's great. So I love that we can do fun things with our families that don't have to do with sugar. Now, I do want to point out one more thing about Halloween. So fall is the start of what I call the sugar season. And you kind of alluded to this a little bit, Marchelle. But here's what I mean by sugar season. The food marketers are always out there. And it'd be a really good idea for all of us to just start noticing what it is that food marketers do. I want my podcast listeners to become very aware of all of the subtle tricks that the food marketers are doing to try to get you to buy their stuff. So what's sugar season? Essentially, it's a way to get us through the long, dark days of fall and winter by selling us sugar and comfort food. So it starts in the fall with pumpkin spice, Like, have you seen pumpkin spice stuff pretty much everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice lattes come to mind for me. And then there's Halloween and all the Halloween candy. And then there's Thanksgiving. And Costco, is already selling pumpkin pies and pumpkin cheesecake. They're also already selling Christmas candy. That's the next holiday. Again, who needs to buy Christmas candy right now? Seriously, guys, why would anybody buy Christmas candy right now?
Nobody.
Of course, they know you're going to eat it.
Right now. Yes,
you're going to have a moment of weakness.
Yep.
You're going to eat it, and then you're going to have to go buy more. So don't fall for it. So we'll talk more about how to get through the holiday season specifically in a later podcast. But right now, I just want to bring awareness to all of this marketing because after Christmas, it's Valentine's Day, and there's all that marketing. And then it's Easter, and there's all that marketing. And there are always reasons to purchase junk food. Oreo cookies have colored frosting depending on the seasons. So just be aware of what's going on. The more money the food and beverage industries make, the better for them and their investors. But the more you and I get to struggle with obesity and all of its really awful complications. So I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just thinking of something kind of funny, a funny little rhyme, because we're talking about, being aware first, and then that leads to being able to be prepared. So awareness leads to preparedness.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's what we got to think about. So we're not sucked into the food industry's little tricky tricks.
Did you just make that up?
I did.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Awareness leads to preparedness. I love it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go post that in Sugar and Flour Busters Society.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, everyone. So I hope we've given you some good ideas and some food for thought about Halloween. And I want you to feel really good about this, about letting go of the sugary treats. I don't want you to have to worry about getting egged. And you can feel really good about this. And here's why. The first thing is you're going to get sugar season started the right way. And you're sending a message to yourself that you're not going to buy into this deliberate effort by the food industry to sell junk for 6 to 7 months, junk food. The second thing is you get to be on the leading edge of preventing diabetes. I don't know if you realize it, but 25% of high school students already have prediabetes or diabetes. That's insane. 13% of our children have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is the same disease that alcoholics get after decades of drinking. Our children are showing up with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And why? It's because the kids are having so much fructose all the time. Start thinking about sodas the same way you think about beer. Would you give a kid a beer? But people are giving them sodas.
Something is just not right. I mean, if this is the way that or the direction things are going, and I mean, we got to do something about this. This is not fair to our kids. It's not fair to us. I mean, we need to just spread this awareness. This is why you do these podcasts, is because then we could get the word out to people.
And then one more reason why I want you to really seriously consider thinking about what you're providing as treats for the kiddos for Halloween. If you do not buy the candy, you get to make sure that your house is not filled with temptation. How many of us have candy that we've bought a bunch of candy and we end up with a bunch of leftovers? And then we end up eating it ourselves, right? So that happens to so many people. I hear that story constantly. So you've eaten it all beforehand. Halloween comes, you have leftovers, you end up eating it afterwards. You feel like crap about yourself the whole time. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it. Okay? So go ahead and just go to the dollar store and find some cute little fun things. Put them in a bowl, make it look cute, and use my example if you want to. And you can look at the podcast art on the website so you can see how to do this and make it look pretty. Okay? All right, everyone. So let's go out and have a drug-free Halloween, meaning a sugar-free Halloween.
Yeah, hopefully your Halloween is drug-free.
Yeah. Remember, if you need ideas for non-food treats for kids, you can learn about the Teal Pumpkin Project at FAIR. food allergy research and education. So just go to foodallergy.org and take a look at what they have available there. So, all right. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye now. Take care.
All right, you guys. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.